Welcome to Get Serious. Excited to be jumping back in here today, right after failing to get verified for our Google business profile for the fourth time in a row. But each time we are getting a little bit closer for what Google is precisely looking for. It seems like they keep moving the goalposts every time we try. But just FYI, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I was about to give up on it, but our SEO consultant keeps saying, hey, this is like one of the most important things you can do for SEO and AI search rankings, to just like keep figuring it out. So we are working on it. I'll report on it when we finally are successful. But I really wanted to comment on what probably got widely reported on, and anybody who's in the entrepreneurial space probably has heard of Alex Hormozi, acquisition.com. And they obviously had a world record setting book launch over this last weekend. And, I was tuning in for a good chunk of it, kind of off and on. Honestly, like the first day, I was just see how long is this launch going to go. I know on the calendar it's like 2 hours and ended up being 10. But just I was going back and forth with a couple other entrepreneurs who were, paying attention and watching, including JT Olmstead. And I think I was, both of us were just a bit in awe here on just the sheer precedent that was being set in terms of what it takes to launch something like this book launch and try to set a world record for one of the fastest selling books ever, and try to get a book in one book in the hands of every entrepreneur in the US, if not the world. It's such a monstrous goal that they were able to really deliver on through just expert level forward thinking over the course of years, if not probably close to 10 years, of where I think their initial thinking on what the potential was to even get to this point. Like, it was really mind bending in terms of how the absolute best players in the space like can deliver on such enormous amounts of value. Like we've all seen various internet marketing and bonus packages and high ticket items and what's thrown in as far as value. I've just never seen a bonus package and level of value like what was offered here, given away before. For anybody who didn't attend or anything, like, this was Hormozi's third book, $100 million money models. I think it was only announced like 6 weeks ago, and it was just kind of a steady campaign. And I had signed up, right away for, the first two books were super valuable. Okay, let me do the get the VIP access just by ordering one book. And, I kept seeing the marketing increase, and I signed up to be an affiliate, and like, again, it just all these different incentives layered to get as many people to sign up and show up as possible. And so, I was able to get the minimum 10 at least 10 affiliates to sign up to the link to register, and so got added into that raffle for a live event at the acquisition headquarters to go meet their team and get various questions answered, etc. So like, if we can potentially get that would be huge. I didn't think there was any chance that was going to happen, but it's like, okay, some of the incentives he was building in for getting as many people to show up and sign up as possible, like, it was just super, super well thought out. And showing up to the actual book launch itself, I don't know what precisely I was thinking. I didn't think there was going to be a high ticket offer being offered during it. I mean, in retrospect, that was really foolish. I mean, this is one of the best marketers and sales teams in the world, and maybe I just was ignorant towards they were trying to break a world record or what have you. But Alex was getting into the here's everybody who showed up today and buys a book, like, you get all these like really incredible kind of marketing and sales related bonuses just for being here today, plus like a bonus book that he had written before. And again, I know I'm kind of tangenting around here. There's just like there's a lot of just really key points here. Just again, like the foresight to prep for this was just really, really tremendous. Again, like it's just setting a new precedent for what's possible if you really put your mind to something and think this far in advance to, within like a couple day period, just deliver this just, enormous amounts of value and sell, over 3 million books. It's crazy, right? But where, he had written this $100 million models book, well over 2 years ago, plus an entire another book that was just extra chapters all put into one other book. Plus he had been doing a lot of various in-person consulting and workshops, not a very scalable setup, but, his whole point was like, hey, over these last couple of years, I wanted to do that so I could create the bonus content specifically for this launch. Like just brilliant foresight. I can't remark highly enough in terms of how that changed my thinking in terms of, again, like what's possible and, the levels you have to play at to really be at, top of the industry really in anything. And so that was just, super cool to see in and of itself. And, how they set up a, Hormozi AI, which to me was like a, killer feature because I've already tried to build one within Claude and set up a whole project knowledge. But the fact that their team, who's like renowned for quality, had put it all together, plus having a lot of back-end data that we wouldn't necessarily have access to even with public materials. Plus it was built on Claude's API, which is my favorite LLM. Like that was a big selling point too. And so he was offering some of these other bonuses if you chose to donate an extra 200 books to, to try to, again, get this book into the hands of, as many entrepreneurs in the US or the country or the world as possible. And, the total price of that was like $6,000. There was a partnered payment plan to do that, but, ultimately still a high ticket item. And again, I had come into that day, like not expecting even a high ticket item to be offered. And so, usually I have some type of suspicion, okay, and I might like be interested in potentially purchasing, but, within like a couple hours, I was just convinced, all right, yeah, like the amount of value here, I know it can transform my business. I probably, out of any, entrepreneur that I follow, only a handful that it really tried to be keyed in on their suggestions and strategies and tactics. And, Hormozi is just like basically number one on that list. Like, okay, it's barely even a question for me. If I pay $6,000 now, that again is like fully tax deductible. Plus it makes me feel good. Like, again, I root for entrepreneurs and I want, like, you're my people. Like I want you all to succeed as well and have opportunities to find your own path in life. Like that also felt good, even, being a high ticket purchase on, my own end. And again, as an aside there, like there's roughly, 32-ish million small business owners in the US. And so, selling 3 million of these books, it's almost like 10% of the way there, like just enormous scale, like truly impressive feat, what they were able to accomplish. And so, I laid down, that let me opt in to this high ticket item, getting access to the AI and these other books. And it's like, and that's always the thing whenever you look at all these various trainings and so forth, like, again, the value there is just tremendous, and the vast majority of people, almost everybody, will never take action on it. Like maybe 1% will like fully implement. So it's like, yeah, you get the excitement, like, yeah, I can do all these things in my business, but rarely, if ever, people will actually do it. And you could kind of see that. I mean, that, Hormozi has a huge brand, right? And you could see within the chat during the launch, like there were just so many people who were, as my mentor Andrew Lee would say, just being assholes. Like they were just like, hey, where's our free stuff? Where's our free stuff? When's it going to be delivered? Those folks are the ones who are, again, going to get hyped to get the bonuses and everything, but not actually do anything with it. So like that's just the nature of the beast here. But nevertheless, if you're able to convert some of those folks to actually make the purchase, regardless of whether they do anything or not, fine. Like that's on them. So, and ultimately that's on me as well too. Like I opted in, okay. And then, even the next day the AI was delivered and it's like, okay, I have this all at my fingertips now. Are you actually going to do something about it? Are you going to utilize it for your own businesses and products here? So like that's again the key action taking step that needs to be accounted for. And on that point, like, it was just also giving me so many other ideas on precisely how to utilize this. And I know it can be used. And Alex was adamant, saying that this can apply to like any business. Literally, he's worked with hundreds, and I fully believe that. But like, as far as where I think the higher leverage is going to be for what we're working on is almost assuredly the land pricer piece, just because like first off, we have an imminent launch coming up. So I just want to take all of these various tactics here. And, I had some idea on how to launch the product. It was like somewhat built up a bit of hype and communication over many months. I know it's just been delayed forever, but I really didn't have like a dedicated strategy on how to actually do that, or it's like going to just be direct messaging a whole bunch of people in various email lead up. But I figured, I could definitely be much more strategic and tactical about this. And some of these guys, like, this is the $100 million playbook, right? So like, just use the pathway, like actually implement it. You have the AI here, you can just sort it out precisely around your business and just follow the playbook and stick with it. Again, nobody really wants to take action. Few will. Just like, okay, now I have the tools, I can do this. The timing is perfect to do it. How am I going to like mark it out, et cetera? And I'm like, I have some ideas. I have some, decent AI set up to assist with it, which has been very helpful already. But like, here's an extra leg up on what has proven to work for, so many other businesses of like much larger size than us. I mean, land price right now is like $0 revenue. Every business is larger than that one. And a lot can apply to Serious Land Capital too, especially from a marketing piece. But in terms of like higher priority, I would just put a bit more on Land Pricer at the moment, because I just think it's a larger lever point, and there's still more to do in the immediate term, especially when folks like Callan are telling me Land Pricer she thinks is going to be a potentially larger business than even our funding business, which is just crazy, because I think our funding business can be $1 billion AUM business if we really take it to the highest level possible. So very cool to keep in mind there. But all that to say, and by the way, I noted this in my newsletter earlier today, but some folks were texting me because like I was off and on checking out the launch. And so I actually won one of those, raffled off affiliate slots for the live event in late October at the ACQ headquarters there. So it actually worked. Again, I knew like 500,000 people signed up, and probably thousands of people were doing various affiliate marketing and hitting that minimum. So, just got super lucky. It actually worked out. Can't wait to make a day trip out of that, and I'll report on that when we get back from that event there. But again, if you haven't seen any of the details of this launch, or at least some of like the key takeaway points, I try to note a lot here, but like the overall thing is just like, okay, this level of scale is just ridiculous. Few of us will ever be able to achieve that, or necessarily even want to, but we can take lessons from the precedent set of, all right, what is like true maximum value that you can provide for your potential customer base, and the level of reach you can achieve when you're able to just deliver such killer information and killer tactics, killer strategies. Like, again, the sky is really the limit here. And to me, that's just, a lot of folks that aren't, as entrepreneurial, or they're more just, kind of haters, right? Like, it's through this, you can do that, or has all these other advantages. But like, myself, and I hope, you listening to this too, is like just invigorated by this. Like, I love when people set a new standard for us all, because it just opens up my eyes even further on what's possible for each of us, including myself. So very, very, very cool. Again, open my eyes to the next level, and think I'm going to be able to perform even higher. I know I will be, because you just like invested into it, and I'm going to have to apply the tactics. I'm just like anybody else, but looking forward to that challenge here. And I'll talk to you all in a couple more days. With that, seriousland.capital for any of your funding needs. Remember, $50K minimum purchase price, and then Land Daily Diligence Facebook group for zero cost review of your land deals. And I mentioned landpricer.ai for the most reliable land pricing tool on the market. With that, subscribe and share. Talk to you next time. Bye.